Shalom, Hebrews and Shebrews. This is Oilfield Disciple. We're going to do take 8 on this video. I've tried all day long. I don't get it. Sometimes when I'm trying to get a video done, it just doesn't work out. But I'm going to give it one more shot because I'm dedicated to get this done today. And if it don't, then it don't. But what I got for on this video is I want to go a little more in depth on forgiveness. And I know we've done forgiveness. We've done that on, we've studied that, but we haven't studied it all the way out. And the reason why I'm revisiting forgiveness is because a couple more things just came to light about forgiveness, that we make mistakes as followers and those who do not follow. But so anyway, I'm going to flip the camera around here. We're not cruising nowhere, but I'm going to let you look ahead while I just speak on this, and we'll look and see if it'll help us going down, moving on down the road. So, forgiveness is one of those words that can get us in a bind. As I thought about it the other day, if we look at forgiveness as top of the food chain, top of the ladder quality, emotion, that's not biblical. The greatest is love. Without faith, we cannot please God. But in Matthew 5 or Matthew 6, 14, 15, it says, if you do not forgive men their trespasses against you, your Father will not forgive your trespasses against him. Peter goes on in Matthew 18 to ask Jesus, should I forgive my brother 7 times in a day? And Jesus said, yes, yea, even 7 times 70 times per day. We're to forgive one another. Well, first of all, we got to figure out the difference between something that someone has done to us and something that is sinful. Feel me? You tracking with me? Just hang tight real quick. I'll get there. If you borrow my lawnmower and break my pull cord and bring my lawnmower back, don't say nothing, and then I get ready to use it, and my pull cord's broke, I'm gonna be a little frustrated. Now I fix the pull cord and I get ready to start it, and I realize it ain't got no gas in there either. You done used all my gas up and didn't say nothing. It's my obligation, according to Matthew 5, 40 through 44, to forgive you of that. Let's just use Steve down the road for that. That's what I'm required by the scriptures to do. Now we're fixing to get a little deeper here. So Steve borrowed my lawnmower, broke my pull cord, and ran it out of fuel and didn't say nothing. A little time goes by. I'm still a little bit frustrated with it, but I've let it go. I forgive Steve for that. Big storm comes, knocks a bunch of trees down in our neighborhood. Steve comes over and needs to borrow a chainsaw. Well, now's where we get to act upon our forgiveness. So I tell Steve, yeah, you can borrow my chainsaw, but I need to show you something because I don't want you to break this pull cord. Once you pull this rope out just enough to get that piston up top dead center, and then you give her a good old tug, and she'll fire off for you. Now we've taught Steve not to break my pull cord. Now we're walking on. Well, we go to town, we come back, chainsaw's on the front porch. No chain on the bar. The bar's bent pretty good. Housing on the chainsaw's cracked. Hey, but the pull cord's good. The old man in us would want to go over there and confront Steve and lose it with him. And Steve knows that the way I used to operate, I'm probably going to come over there and kick his door down. But now I'm operating differently. This is what I do. This is true forgiveness. This is the love of Christ operating in me by the grace of Christ. I go gather up a couple fellers around the neighborhood that I know can handle a chainsaw, that I know that can do a little work, manly work, without being girls about it. And we go to Steve's house. We knock on his door. When he sees us, he thinks, uh-oh, they coming for me. But he mans up and comes to the door. True forgiveness, says Steve. What do you need done with these trees? Do you want to keep them for firewood? Do you want to stack it to sell? Do you want to just have it hauled off? What can we do to help you get this going? Now Steve's perplexed. We should have been there to beat up on him, or at least yell at him. No, we're there to help him. Okay, because we realize that Steve just has not been taught. He doesn't know how, he's not mechanically inclined at all. So we show the love of Christ through forgiveness. Now, in forgiveness comes wisdom. Next week he comes to borrow my chainsaw? No. What do you need done? And we'll see what we can do. But you're not burning up and breaking no more of my tools. Okay, that's how I'm operating right now. In wisdom, we're not called to be stupid with our what we've been entrusted with. So Steve knows that, hey, you know what? I shouldn't even been holding the chainsaw. I'm lucky I didn't cut my leg off. That's true godly for forgiveness. Now, here's where we could get in trouble with forgiveness. In this culture right now. This culture is geared to be tolerant of sin. To the side of being extremely forceful of tolerant to sin. That if I see you sinning and I say anything to you about it, then I'm a bigot. You know, and I'm reminded of Matthew 7:1, judge not lest you be judged. Right? I mean, we've all been there. Okay, here's the deal. I catch Steve in the act committing adultery against his wife. I confront him on it. First thing I do is I have to decide, is Steve a brother or a neighbor? If he's a neighbor, he just lives in the world and he don't have no part of God. Steve can do whatever he wants at that point. But if he's a brother, and for this instance, he goes to the same congregation that I go to, I have to confront him on that and use the scripture to show him the error of his ways. That is judgment, not condemnation. Big difference. Now, Steve has an obligation to look at the scriptures, and if he's a true follower, repent. But a couple weeks later, same thing, same problem. Steve, what are you doing? I have got to bring you before the elders of the church. Matthew 18. Well, I don't have to do that. I'll just go to another congregation. Well, then that's on you, sir. But this is where I stand. I will not turn a blind eye to sin. Has nothing to do with forgiveness. I'm not going to compromise truth in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Now, Steve's out. He gets to go live however he wants. Maybe he repents, maybe he don't. That's on him. But in this modern cultural Christianity, part of forgiveness would be saying, you know what, Steve, we know that you like to cheat on your wife. We forgive you. Just keep coming to our church. It's all good. No, we got to take a stand on that. And it has nothing to do with forgiveness. It has to do with being dead set on not compromising God's truth. Feel me? That's where I wanted to go with this video. The way I had it this morning, it was a whole lot better video. But it is what it is. I hope that this message can bless you, encourage you, and frustrate you to go look up some of this stuff. And make sure you're not compromising truth for any reason. Because God never did, nor will He, ever, not once, for no reason. So how can we, if we're going to be true followers? Now, we're going to trip and stumble. I get that. But these are the kind of things that we really got to take a handle on in our culture. If we're going to be followers, true followers, and be prepared to be shunned from the community. even to the point of being shunned from your own congregations if you stand in truth and your congregation is not a Bible-believing entity. You could face that, but that's okay. Uh, that's part of the sacrifice of walking with Christ. We were called unto Christ and to sacrifice along with Christ. 1 Corinthians chapter 1, or 2 Corinthians chapter 1. We went over that yesterday. So the reason I brought this up, like I said, was if one person has this kind of twisted, then I assume that it could be a, a more blanket effect, that more people could be confusing forgiveness um, with its position and where it should be in the order of things. And that's why I bring it up. And if it doesn't apply to you and you already got this down, great. Continue to teach it. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. Um, we'll talk about it. I ain't afraid to approach any subject that comes out of the scriptures. Um, if I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know. But we got a big issue ahead of us right now. A big issue facing the church body and the Western culture. We have so many false doctrines running rampant because we've made worship of God man-centered rather than God-centered. And if we listen to ourselves talk and some of the statements we make, we would actually hear that God serves me, I don't serve him. I am sovereign in my life, not God. Or it should be the other way around. But that if we listen to what we say and speak, and match it up with the scriptures, see what the scriptures say, we would come to the conclusion that we basically say, God, I got this. You're not sovereign, I am. You serve me. And ouch, we in trouble there. But that comes back to self-reflection. Before you speak, think. Think before you speak. Um, that'll be monumental and key to our growth. And then this tradition that we're stuck in here, just because mom and dad and grandma and grandpa and great-grandma and great-grandpa have been doing it this way for 200 years does not mean that that's the way we're supposed to continue to operate. We are instructed all throughout all throughout the Old Testament, not to walk in the ways of the Gentiles or the heathen, and not to follow after our fathers who sinned before us. We're over and over specifically instructed not to do that, but yet we do that today. And we will compromise some truth in this word to hold true to those traditions. And those are the things that we need to approach and discuss. And those are the things we need to get a handle on, you know. And I realize it. Most people are not going to receive this truth because it's going to require them to change in some way, shape, form, or fashion. It's going to require them to put their life on sacrifice that they may lose friends, family over it, and stature. And if you mess with my pride, then we got an issue, right? I mean, because I've give up my pride to a point, but I got to hold this little bit left. Anyway, that's another video for another day. I think we got this video done. I'm pleased with where we're at. You guys subscribe to my channel, share my videos, comment on the videos. Let's get discussions going. Got questions? Send the questions. I do operate, and if I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know. If I think you're a fool in your folly and you're just trying to stump me with some needless, pointless question, I'll probably skip over it. But I'm pretty a good discerner of that. And if it seems to be a question that's probably serious to you, then even whether it is to me or not, we're going to address it. And that's just the way it is. That's a fact. Y'all be blessed. Be encouraged. And always be frustrated. Get in the Word and look this up for yourselves. By the mighty hand of Jesus, I pray y'all have a blessed weekend. Shabbat shalom, y'all. Till the next ride.